Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Conversations with Seher and John. I'm Dr. Seher Mughal and I'm driven by a deep desire to help myself and others be the best that we can all be. As I learn more about the world of self-development, I'd like to share my learnings with you all and hopefully further the cause of an incredible organisation that I strongly believe in. I hope by now you all know John very well. He's the CEO of Lotus Flower Trust, a humanitarian who has made such a big impact to thousands and thousands of lives, an avid adventurer, and a man at 80 years of age is still so ambitious and has so much more to give. John's work with deprived children and adults continues to help thousands in remote and rural parts of the world, especially India, and he's not done yet. However, during the pandemic, with withdrawal of allocated funds, Lotus Flower Trust has suffered devastating loss of funds, which has meant a number of projects that would have housed and schooled children and young people have not been able to happen. Over the last year and a half, John has written over 200 letters to businesses and organizations, with one potential yes in return. I salute this man's resilience and perseverance and sheer grit. It has been John's lifelong dream to walk to the base of Mount Everest and then climb and conquer the Earth's highest mountain above sea level. With the current global situation as it is, it's not physically possible, but John is a force that won't be stopped by COVID. At 80, he has set himself the challenge to virtually climb Mount Everest. Today's episode is one of two parts that are very special to both of us, and I'm sure you've guessed the theme by now of our conversation. So today we'll be talking about overcoming challenges, the challenges that John has faced during the last year, and excitingly, the new challenge he is setting himself. We hope to have an interesting conversation together and spark some inspiration, ideas, and good energy for those that are watching. And we'll be inviting you all that are watching to join us on the challenge as the journey progresses. So with that said, as always, it's a great privilege and honor to have you with me, John. How are you?
I'm fine. Yeah, very good.
Good. So I do want you to tell us about the virtual climb. I'm really excited to have that conversation with you. But before that, I really want to talk a little bit more about kind of your ability to really persevere on. I'm completely amazed that, the last year has been one of the most challenging ones for many, many people and for many reasons. But during this time, you've not only persevered, but you keep coming back with new ways to challenge yourself. How do you do it?
Oh, I wish I knew how to stop then. I don't know, really. I think a lot of it is, I feel a great responsibility for the people who I know, work with, and who I meet on my travels. I find that certainly in India, with where our projects are and the projects we've done, once you do something to help people who are poor people, they come back to you for more help. They don't come chasing me all the time. They certainly don't do that. But there is a shared responsibility I feel for them. In fact, funnily enough, I've just seen there's a charity called the Jeff Gott Trust, who over the years have been fantastic supporters of ours. They just gave me, what was it, £13,000 to buy equipment for the special needs home that we have, or it's a residential school in Basai and Ramnagar in Uttarakhand. And they showed, obviously they wanted to see what they bought. And one of the things we bought for JSR was 2 tuk-tuks, one to carry the children to the hospital and the other one to go and fetch food and supplies, and also to deliver things that they make to the shops to sell. And one of the things that we bought for them is a decent sound system. They are great dancers. I mean, the boys and girls are great dancers, and they put on fantastic shows. And there is one girl, her name is Sweta. Sweta is, what is she, 15, 16? She is deaf and dumb. She cannot speak and she cannot hear you. And she leads all the dancing. And she dances because she can feel the beat of the music through the floor, through her feet. And unless I tell you that she can't hear and she can't speak, you wouldn't know she couldn't hear or speak. Yeah. So she leads all the dance, and she's a beautiful girl, and she's just such a fantastic dancer. So if you are involved with somebody like that, and she has, I'm not quite sure of her domestic circumstances, but most children like these kids we deal with are very quite challenging to handle, I understand, and for their parents particularly. So she relies on us, she relies on us. And you can't turn your back on people like that, can you? You can't. And that sort of applies to everything and everybody. I find it very difficult to turn my back on people. If they ask me, will I do something, then I'll do it if I can.
Yeah.
They challenge me, it's a challenge. Yeah. So it's responsibility. And I'm driven. I can't help it. I am driven. Yeah. My father once told me I was an idler and a wastrel when I was about 18, because I was good at rugby, but I was lousy at academia. And he bless him, he was a dental surgeon. He wanted me to become a dental surgeon. And I didn't know where I was going to spend my life looking down people's mouths. And when nobody had any idea what I was going to do with my life, until one teacher, my housemaster, a man called John Headley, he got me to join the police in Africa. I went off to be a policeman, and then I went in the regular army. But that was before my father knew I was going to do anything worthwhile. So having been told that at a very early age, that stuck with me every day of my life. So fathers have to be very careful what they say to their children, I can tell you, because it's been a cross that I've had to bear all my life. And therefore, I've always said nobody will ever be able to say anything like that about me. And so that's another thing. I'm very, very driven. And then I'm self-motivated anyway. I just go out and do it. I don't plan things. I've said before, Seher, that things just happen to me. And I'm a great believer, if you put yourself out there, it'll happen. Whatever will happen, it'll happen for you.
Yeah. I mean, I see, so having known you for a while now as well, and I think that a huge thing that does drive you and does kind of help you persevere on is the fact that, because often you'll talk to me about specific, children, and just before we got on this call, you were talking to me about one particular young lady. And so you keep those people at the forefront of your mind. And I think that really kind of drives you as well. And that kind of motivates you, doesn't it?
It does. And also it's I found out a lot about myself over the years. When I used to work for M&S in the good old days when, we were the number one, and I was very lucky because I seemed to get on well with the chairman, Lord Seher of Brimton, and he did a lot for my career. But then eventually I was sent off to Northern Ireland and to run the business over there in the times of the Troubles. God forbid that they're starting kicking off all that again. Left the business. The first thing I did was I wanted to repay the young Northern Ireland for the wonderful way they treated me. And I got on really well with them all. Yeah. And so I decided I'd take 9 boys, 9 girls, 9 Protestants, 9 Catholics to a place called Kibber, which is the highest village in the world. And so I took them up to this amazing village. It's where snow leopards are. There's a regular sighting of snow leopards and Himalayan wolf and fox. We didn't see the snow leopards. We saw the wolf. We saw the fox. And one of the things I always do, I don't mind trekking up a mountain. I don't want anything that's too dangerous. I get frightened of too dangerous, but I'm very happy to trek up mountains. And as long as at the end of it, there's something for us to do. Yeah. There's got to be a reason for climbing a mountain. They used to say because it's there. It's what Mallory said, because it's there. Well, we got a bit beyond that now, I think, because most people have done that. But the physical challenge of doing something like that, but I believe at the end of the trek or whatever, there has to be a village where we can contribute. Yeah. And so I asked the villagers in Kibber, what can we do? And they asked us to clear a stream, and it was the filthiest stream running through the middle of the village, and I think there was a dead sheep in it. It's horrible.
Oh gosh.
So I brought all the kids together and I said, right, now this is what they've asked us to do.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll tell you what we're going to do. And then one of the girls turned around, she put her finger up and she shook it at me. John, you've been talking to us about leadership and team working for Ekdom. Will you please go away and come back in an hour's time? We'll tell you what we're going to do. And I thought that was the most brilliant lesson. These were 17-year-olds.
Yeah.
And I realized then that the quality of young people, they just need challenging, and then you've got to let them go. And I used to find with young people, the one thing that I really enjoyed watching when we took them out on an expedition. So we were in the middle of the desert or whatever. It was like them being on a rubber band or on an elastic band. For the first couple of days, they would go a little way away from you, and then they'd come back and ask you, how do I do so and so, so and so. Then the next day, they'd go a little further away, then they'd come back, and then they'd go a bit further, and then they'd come back. And then eventually, bring the rubber band or the whatever it was pulling back to you, broke, and they were off. It's a bit like Duke of Edinburgh's award. I mean, I'm a great believer in Duke of Edinburgh's award. Fantastic. So, we gave them these challenges and they stretched themselves. You were there. But it was how funny that they kept coming back to us, and then eventually they were off. Yeah. And I thought, well, there's a lesson for you. And we had all these wonderful youngsters working for us when I was in M&S, and I still feel that maybe I didn't contribute to their lives as much as I should have done, but that's past history. Now I believe if I can give a little bit to people, then I must do it.
Yeah.
And I don't do it for money. That's what people worry about, John. You hear all these terrible things about Oxfam and how people abuse other people and how people have high charges against their administration fees and everything. I drive down all our costs. I won't take money. And in fact, but pretty well, I think, for nearly 30 years now, I've worked for my two charities. Yeah. I've not been paid. I don't take any money for that. I won't take money that's meant for children. I won't. Maybe a couple of times, but I think the times I got paid, I plowed it straight back into the charity. I wouldn't take it. M&S paid me a good pension. I'm all right, thanks. I'm fine. Just.
Well, so actually, talking about economics in a way, I guess in a professional capacity and in a personal capacity, I've met a lot of people, certainly over the last year, that are facing a number of different types of challenges. And for some people, it's been ill health. For some people, it's devastatingly been loss of loved ones in the last year. For some, it's been financial, economic loss or loss of opportunity. Many people that have lost their jobs. And for some people, it's been actually a loss of sense of freedom to do the things that they enjoy. Obviously, it's been, with the lockdowns, it's been to ensure the safety of the population, but it's still been a challenging way of life for the last year. And it's also affected people's mental health. And so, with this type of challenge, for some people, they've felt helpless or they've put up their hands and kind of given up. Now, you faced ill health this year. You had a heart attack. You had COVID. Your charity suffered. There have been several projects that you were quite excited to do, and they've been put on hold. And you turned 80 in December, but you seem to be more energized now than what I remember you at 65 when I met you. So, what would you say to people who are having a hard time right now, or finding it difficult to face the challenges that they have in their lives? What would you say, even just to uplift them, or to kind of something that would help them and would help us and would help others?
Gosh, I must say that with the fact I'm 80 makes it, the time span is less, so I find everything's more urgent. I used to plan 5 years ahead. Can't do that now. I'll be lying my box in 5 years' time. So who knows?
Well, hopefully not.
So there is. So do I. But who knows? So there is an urgency about that. I really feel for people, particularly if they don't have the sort of drive and passion that I do. I'm lucky enough to have. And so it's difficult for me to advise people because they have so many challenges. But I worry about young people. Basically, I've got to talk about young people because I can't advise, the older generations. Although I think you have to have a purpose. I'm a great believer in having something to do. You've got to have something else to do besides just existing. I used to lecture M&S managers when I first left M&S and I was running Fulcrum Challenge.
Yeah.
And I'd been a senior manager, and there were lots of managers coming on to retirement.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to talk to them about leaving the business, as we used to call it the business. And then what else are you going to do with your life? What else are you going to do? And most of them had never even considered what it is. I mean, many of them were going to play golf. Yeah, fine. Okay, they're not going to play golf. But what else? What were you going to contribute? And it's a big thing for me. I mean, I think the older generation has got so much that they can do to support the younger generation. I really do. So from the older people's purpose, I think you've got to have something that you really want to do in life, and then that drives you on. And okay, I had a heart attack. I mean, it was a waste of time. I mean, wasted my time. 6 days in a hospital with, oh God, terrible. I only felt sorry for the nurses. I fell out with the rest of the patients because they were such a pain. I mean, I felt very sorry for them. I didn't feel ill. That was the trouble. I really didn't feel ill. I couldn't believe I had to go in an ambulance, and I had a wheelchair and all that nonsense. No. The only thing that frightened me was they put me in a ward, and I looked around the ward, and yet they were all dying. I thought, everybody's going to go any minute. Why have I been put in here? I couldn't want to get out of the place fast enough. But I was very lucky because I didn't feel poorly. I felt poorly for a few days when I had COVID, but I didn't go to hospital. I mean, my wife is a doctor, as you know, and so she sort of kept her eye on me. Yeah. But how the young people deal with this and depression and mental illness is so difficult. And I wonder how we've contributed to that happening nowadays. I think we've mollycoddled people below us.
Yeah.
You have to eat a ton of earth. Well, they reckon you've got to eat a ton of earth before you die. You've got to get dirty. I mean, I was a war baby. We didn't have Christmas presents, and we were brought up fairly well. If you'd have gone to the prep school I went to, everybody talks about public schools and prep schools and privilege. You should have gone to the one I went to. It was like Alcatraz. I mean, it was so tough. It was really tough. And in the end, it makes us the people we are. And I don't think people get that. It's easy to complain now, isn't it? And I think we haven't brought up a tough nation anymore. I don't think that's my personal opinion. I don't think we have a tough nation anymore.
Yeah.
I think it's very easy to opt out and complain and moan about things. My time, we had to just get on with it.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that there's we kind of need to have a building of like resilience and grit in the people generation?
There is a woman. I think she's unbelievable, and her name is Amanda Owen, and she and her husband have a farm in Yorkshire, and it's on TV, it's on television. And she has 9 children. I think it's 9 children. And there's a quote in the newspaper. I cut it out because I just thought it was so fantastic. And she was talking about the snowflake generation. I'd never heard of that expression before, but a snowflake. You've never heard of it?
No. What is it? I'm curious.
Parents, she's not me. This is her. Parents are to blame for today's snowflake generation who do not know how to look after themselves or how to be independent. And I think it was her 9th baby. She delivered herself in front of the fire in their remote farm, with her husband was sleeping upstairs. She didn't even bother to go and wake him up and say, "I'm having my baby." So she's just such a tough lady.
Yeah.
It's the thing here. They don't know anything about how to look after themselves or a work ethic. All that has gone out the window. I think she's a woman worth watching, and their program is really worth watching. And their children are just unbelievable kids. Yeah. They are so fantastic, and they have to strive. They're brought up striving, delivering sheep and mending tractors. And one's gone off to be a doctor, and they've lived way out in the Yorkshire countryside. I just think she and her family are such an example for us all. It is the most popular. I think it's one of the most popular programs on television.
Oh, it's Amanda.
Her name is Amanda. Her surname is Amanda Owen.
Amanda Owen.
Amanda Owen. and it doesn't say when the program is on. She came from Huddersfield. I was the assistant manager of Marks and Spencer in Huddersfield. I thought my life was going to come to an end when I was there. They raised their 9 children aged 4 to 19 on their remote farmhouse in Ravenseat, 2,000-acre farm 3 miles west of Kiel, 1,000 sheep, 40 cattle, 4 horses, 7 dogs. And the farm is 69 miles from the nearest hospital.
Wow.
She's just such a fantastic. I mean, I just think, what a person she's a shepherdess.
Yeah.
I think she was a fashion model, but I'm sure she was a fashion model. See, you could go and do that. See it.
Yeah, and then move to a farm, and yeah.
I just think, there's an example to us all.
No,
If people should watch that program, I'd encourage them to watch it, because the way they deal with their children and how they encourage their children.
Yeah.
Parents have a huge responsibility, don't they?
No, I mean, absolutely. I think probably entire society itself, and parents, but also educators and teachers and schools, because a lot of children are going to spend half of their sort of week and half of their time in a school environment as well. So there as well, we're the whole idea of like building resilience and building
absolutely
and things like that. I think, yeah, absolutely, they're important.
I used to have a very great friend, Philip Dean, who used to do all our photography for me, and he used to go on at me about, if you can change the life of one child, then you've done more than more than enough to change the life of a child. And we're so privileged, we can do it. We just have to spend time with them and look after them, but don't mollycoddle them. No.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, well, in that case then, 3 words. So if you had to just sum it up in 3 words that you would use to define what it is about someone that helps them defy the odds and overcome challenges. 3 qualities or 3 traits.
Well, I think they've used the words responsibility.
Yeah.
Take on your responsibilities. You've got to have self-motivation. Mm-hmm. And you've got to have high standards as well for yourself.
Yeah, I completely agree. No, absolutely. I think... and
you've got to take risks. You're calculated risks. You don't have to take dangerous risks, but be prepared to take risks. Calculate them. And, but you've got to take some risks. In the army, they used to say, never volunteer. You should always volunteer. In my opinion, you should always volunteer, because you never know what good can come out of volunteering.
Yeah, well, and also it pushes you a little bit outside of your comfort zone, and that's where we know that's where kind of personal development and growth really happens, is when you're putting yourself outside of your comfort zone, and you're not feeling particularly comfortable, but you're pushing yourself and you're learning new things, and you're getting to practice new things.
Yep, all the time.
Yeah. Okay, so I've been itching for you to share these exciting plans for your own push outside of the comfort zone. And so I know that you're planning this challenge that's both, I think, in probably your family, maybe, and some friends will think is insane, but also absolutely incredible. So no, you can't give away too much right now because the plans are still in formulation. But tell us a little bit about the virtual Everest climb, just like a teaser.
Well, it's a cheat, isn't it? Because there's no way I could climb Everest. No way. I read books. I'm in the middle of another one, inspirational book, a really inspirational book about mountaineering. There's no way I could do that. There is no way in my life I could do that. I suppose if I'd have trained and had somebody to hold my hand. I'm a great believer I can follow people. That's not a problem. Good leadership needs good followership. I was a very good follower. If people had opened doors for me, I'm happy to walk through them. But climbing, I admire all those people in the old days, in the 1930s and 40s, and all of the people who go and take those huge risks on mountains, they're killers. They are. Look how many people die on K2 and Everest, and it's just unbelievable. So what I'm doing is just cheating. I just happen to have set up my own gym, so I keep reasonably fit, and I have a murderous climbing machine. So it is nasty. I look at it and I argue with it, and I kick it occasionally, and all sorts of things. So what I'm going to try and do is to just Everest is 29,000 and about 39 feet, I think 29,039 feet. So I can do that on the climbing machine.
Okay.
I walk and it just goes up and down. So I've got to do something like between 1,500 and 2,000 feet a day, and I can knock it off in 10 or 15, 20 days, whatever it is. I haven't worked it all out yet. But I am waiting for, I've done a lot of work with Winchester College, which is a fine school in Winchester, and the boys are great there. And I've taken them all to India, and they've worked and raised money for projects for me, and done some wonderful projects. So I understand that they're going to be doing virtually, well, actually, they're going to cycle and run and walk all the way from Mumbai to a place called Darjeeling, where everybody in the old days used to start their Everest expeditions. Mm-hmm. I suppose what I should say, it's 2021, okay? Well, it was 1921 when when Mallory and the first team went out onto Everest to try and climb Everest. Yeah. So it's 100 years since that happened. So it is a celebration. And it's just by huge coincidence that Mallory was at Winchester College, as were 3 other members of that particular team, okay, the men, as was a man called Wollaston. And Wollaston, his direct relative happens to be a trustee of mine. So we have a direct link between Winchester College, the trust, and this first Everest expedition. I mean, they didn't climb it; they didn't get anywhere near it. Yeah. So there is a climb. So they're either going to cycle, run, climb, walk all the way from Mumbai, where we landed, where the team landed, all the way to Darjeeling, which is about 2,000 miles, I think. So they're going to do bits of that, and then when we get to Darjeeling, from Darjeeling, they had to cross Sikkim and then Tibet. Yeah. And that's about 300 miles, but elevation wise, it's from 7,500 feet to 17,500, so it's 10,000 foot climb. So I'm going to do that bit. I hope I'm going to be allowed to do that. And then I'm going to do the rest all the way up to the top. So that's how it'll work. And at the end of it, I shall be completely corpsed. But that's what I want to do. And through doing that, you see, I was totally inspired by, was it Captain Tom, who did all his walking? Well, yeah. I just thought that was just quite the most extraordinary thing to do. Yeah. And it seems to me that at the moment, it's terrible trying to raise money. It is the most depressing thing. Coming in here every morning and kicking off at trying to fundraise. It's just, that's about self-determination, that is. So I wanted to do something else. And whether people, I mean, it's a cheat. It is a cheat. I can't do the altitude. I can't do the cold. I can't do the huge winds. Yeah. And somebody suggested I should sleep in the garden. Or we should move the climbing machine into a deep freeze. Yeah. I don't know if I really want to do that. But I'll do something. And if to bring in some money, and we've got 2 projects we're thinking of working on. But it's all in the planning stage. I don't even have a date for it yet. Yeah. And so I'm looking for excuses not to do it actually at the moment. Well,
no, if I know you well enough, I know that if you can, you will find a way to
I'll do it. Don't worry.
No, I'm sure of that. And,
it's not that difficult. Quite honestly, that's why I say it's a cheat, because it's not that difficult. You could do it.
I mean, I think it's still going to be fairly difficult, but you're going to share that journey with us, right? So we're going to live stream it or record it somehow.
Yeah, we're going to video it and all that jazz. Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's fun.
Yeah. No, I'm sure, and I think it's going to be exciting to watch.
But the end of it, sorry to interrupt you, it's not about me doing that at all. It's about money and raising money for the 2 projects that we want to fund. Yeah. And I think it's a way of actually raising money. So in the end, that's what all these people do, these wonderful things for, run marathons and stuff. Yeah. It's about money in the end, because we can't achieve them unless we do it.
I mean, well, yeah, and I guess it's about your why, isn't it? So it's about the children and the young people and the projects that you're doing that will help, and how they will help. And this is just a means to doing that. And so it's your why that is both inspiring and incredible, and it's obviously the thing that drives you. No, it's amazing. So we look forward to that. I think so. We're going to talk a little bit more about that as sort of your plans progress and we know more. And then we will obviously get people who are followers of Lotus Flower Trust who've been involved in the past, or anyone who's been interested enough to kind of watch these episodes. We try and find ways that they can also be involved. And I know will you be crowdfunding?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I understand. Don't ask me how they do that, but we will. We will. Yeah.
Fine. So it's going to be really, really exciting. We'll definitely be talking a little bit more about that, I'm sure, in our next chat. John, you usually like to kind of leave us with something before we finish. So as someone who's facing some challenges ahead, when it comes to overcoming challenges, for those listening, have you got anything else that you'd like to just finish on?
No, just keep at it. Just keep. That's the most thing. That is the most important thing. Don't give up. For goodness sake, just keep driving on, because life is a challenge. There is no doubt about it. Life is a challenge, and you see so many people, and so many people have the most horrendous challenges. I don't know how they achieve what they do achieve. Yeah. But for the common guys like you, like me, anyway, and you, you and me, we've just got to keep going. We just haven't got. Giving up is not acceptable. I've always thought you can't give up. I was thinking running a marathon. It's a very good thing for you, because getting around to about 18 miles. Yeah. You get to that sort of mark where they say, all sorts of things kick in. You can't give up. I mean, you can't. If you've done all that, 18 miles is behind you. You can't give up. Yeah. Because I remember during the New York Marathon, I did New York Marathon twice, and getting within, I did it 3 hours 30, I think. I got, when I was 51 or 52, and I got to within the last 300 yards, and I had just a whole wave of everything came over me, and I thought, oh God, I can't complete this. And somebody came out, I presume he was a steward, ran out to the crowd and said to me, have you trained for this? I said, what the hell do you think I've been doing for the last sort of 6 months? Yeah. I wouldn't have got this far if I hadn't tried, but I'm not giving up. He said, you can give up. I said, the finish line is there. Fix your eyes on the finish line and keep going.
Yeah.
That's what they got to do.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think, from just like the takeaway from our conversation, really, in terms of when it comes to facing challenges and things, what I gather or what I've learned from you is, take responsibility, find a purpose, and let that be your drive and your motivation. And one of the sayings that I really love is, don't just aspire to make a living, aspire to make a difference. And I think that when you do that, you develop an inward, like an inner drive that really does help you persevere through challenging times and challenging situations. So no, thank you so much, John. And I think this is our 4th recording together. And you continue to inspire and motivate me by doing more in this, to be doing more in this world in the way of impact. And I really pray for your good health and your ultimate success in the challenges that you aspire to overcome, the virtual climb being one of them in the coming very near future. And I commend you for your perseverance and all that you do. And I hope that you carry on for many, many years. And, I'm excited.
So do I.
Well, and I'm excited for that. And I'm hoping, I can come out with you as well.
Yeah. I'll go down. I want to get to base camp. I've got to get to. If I do this, I've got to go to base camp, Everest. But I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. There's a saying: just because there's no destination in sight doesn't mean the road isn't worth traveling, and that's what it is. That's what life is. You've no idea what's going to happen to you in life. I keep pushing on. Just keep at it.
Yeah, absolutely. So wise words from John there. I hope you've all watching thoroughly enjoyed this conversation with John. If you'd like to find out more about Lotus Flower Trust or support any of the amazing projects that they do, visit their website. There's more information there. But also follow the link in the bio. And friends, do like, subscribe, and comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback. This was a conversation with John and Seher. Until next time, my friends, stay safe and stay inspired. Thanks, John.
Thank you.